Hello everyone. Welcome to Confessions Jury, where Reddit's AITAH stories go on trial. Make sure to listen carefully and express your verdict in the comments section below. Moving on to the first case. Case 1. Am I the Bridezilla? My 24F brother Jack, 27M, recently got engaged. The two met through a mutual friend and were only together about 3 months before they got engaged. I was happy for them, but had my reservations about Sadie, brother's fiancée/25F, as she had been sending inappropriate photos to other men. She also had 3 children from previous relationships. Will be important later in the story. Me and my boyfriend of 2.5 years got engaged about 2 months after they did. I immediately asked if my brother would be a groomsman upon my fiancée's request, and also asked that he give me away at my wedding/walk me down the aisle. He said yes, and was very happy to be included in the wedding party and events that come with it. They sent out their wedding invitations shortly after announcing the engagement, stating that they were getting married in late October, October 28th. Me and my fiancée scheduled our wedding for the end of September, September 30th. But before doing so, I checked in with my brother to assure that the date was okay with him, since it was semi-close to their wedding date, and he was a groomsman at my wedding. My brother had absolutely no issue with the date, so we quickly began making plans with our chosen photographer and venue. Side note, me and my fiancée paid for all the groomsmen's vests and apparel, so cost was not an issue. A few days later, my brother sent me a text message stating that Sadie was not okay with our wedding being so close to theirs. They were planning on having a large wedding, about 150 people in total, and didn't want guests to stress going to both weddings so close together. I let my brother know that we will be having a very small and intimate micro-wedding, only consisting of about 30-40 people in total. But out of those 30 or so people, only 15 were on my side, / my family and friends. The only people that we shared on our guests list was my mother, mother's boyfriend, and my grandfather, mother's dad. My brother said that it was still too close, and I need to change the date. I then changed my wedding date from end of September to the very beginning of September, September 9th, out of respect for my brother's fiancée. I let them, as well as every other guest on our guest list, know that our wedding would be a child-free wedding due to large pitchers of alcoholic beverages being open to all guests. Our venue owner gave us a discount and stated that we would not need to get alcohol permits or hire a bartender if there would be no one under the age of 21 present, as it posed much less risk to his establishment. About 3 months prior to my brother's wedding, he called and announced that they had canceled their wedding and will be doing a small courthouse wedding next week with just immediate family, as the wedding costs had gotten out of control and they were expecting a baby. I was happy for them and congratulated them on the baby. I then attended their courthouse wedding the following week. It was too close to my wedding to change the date to a more fall-colored / leaves falling day, as all the vendors and venue were already set and paid for, so we went on with our original wedding date. About a week prior to my wedding, my brother let me know that his wife was going into labor and wanted me to come meet my new niece once she was born. The next day, I went to the hospital to meet her and check on Jack and Sadie. Jack then said to me, since we just had the baby, she would need to come to the wedding as well. That was not the place nor the time to have that conversation, so I just nodded and changed the subject. I realized that this might not have been the best decision, but I digress. The next day, I let my brother know that I was very sorry, but little baby girl would not be able to come to the wedding due to the venue and my personal want for this to be a child-free day. I am a nanny, so I take care of children on a daily basis, and didn't want to stress over looking after others' children when I wanted to have a carefree day. He had a bit of pushback on this and stated that the family would want to meet the new family member and to just let her come. I let him know that I wanted my one day to be about myself and my husband, not the less than a week-old baby. This severely angered him. He told me that he would not be attending my wedding, nor would he be a groomsman. My brother and I haven't spoken since then, as his apology for not attending my wedding was, "I'm sorry that you wouldn't let my newborn attend, but we need to get past this." He thinks I'm the Aholy for not allowing his newborn baby to attend my child-free wedding, but I think he is the Aholy for canceling on me only a few days prior to my wedding. So, am I the bad person? What do you think about this one? Lay down the hammer in the comments section, and let's move on to the second case. Case 2. Am I the bad person for cooking lunch for my female coworker after my wife went to her male best friend's wedding without me? My wife and I have been married for 2 years and together for 6. We've both been cheated on before, so there are some insecurities on both sides which have carried over from our previous relationships. A year ago, my wife got an invitation to a wedding from her childhood best friend, who she considered like a brother growing up, but they had slowly distanced from each other after college. She was still occasionally in touch with him. The wedding was at the other end of the country. My wife really wanted to attend this wedding, and she also said she would treat this a solo vacation and explore the city. I was really uncomfortable with it, especially because her friend had only sent the invitation to her and not me. I told her I wasn't uncomfortable with it, but she really wanted to go and gave me reassurances, so I told her okay and to go ahead. My wife was really thankful, and a few months later, she attended the wedding. When she came back home, she was really happy, and I was happy for her too. However, I realized I had some leeway now, and there was nothing wrong in having friends of the opposite gender. My female coworker and I always had lunch together. We both joined the company on the same date. Our discussions were usually just jokes, and we didn't delve too much into our personal life. My wife knows about her. She even looked up her socials. And my wife admitted she was insecure because the coworker was really pretty. And that's why I was always on edge and making sure I didn't cross any boundaries when speaking with my coworker. However, after my wife attended her childhood best friend's wedding, I released some of the shackles I had and spoke more freely with my coworker. It was still normal conversations, but it was also more free-flowing. One day, she made my favorite lunch we could both share. And the next week I decided to make her favorite lunch we could both share too. And we do this once a week. My wife knew about this because I tell her everything. And initially she did not say anything, and I know she did not because she knew it would be hypocritical of her to say anything after she had attended the wedding. However, a couple months later, my wife asked if I could stop making these lunches, and I told her no. I told her it was healthy to have connections outside of family. And I also told her I definitely would have stopped if she hadn't attended the wedding. But she had no leeway to lecture me on a normal male-female friendship anymore. Was I the bad person? What about that? Who would you rule for? State down your ruling, and let's move on to our third case. Case 3. I took a shower at midnight while my wife was watching TV. Who's the bad person? My wife was sitting in the recliner watching her iPad right outside the kids' bedrooms. I figure I'm in the clear to take a long shower. When I turn the shower off, I hear my 3-year-old crying and screaming for daddy. I hurry. As I'm going through the family room, I look at my wife, sitting watching her iPad, and say, "You couldn't calm him down?" She says, "No, I tried 3 times." I go into his room and pick him up. He immediately stops crying and starts trying to catch his breath. I feel what I thought were tears dripping down my shoulder. I think, poor guy has been so upset for so long enough for my wife to come in 3 times. I lay him in bed and start tucking him in. He says I have a mess. I figure tears and snot. I grab wipes and tissue and turn the flashlight on my phone on. That's when I realized he was covered in blood, his first bloody nose, and it was bad. All over his face, arms, clothes, stuffy blanket, and I'm covered. Those were not tears dripping down my shoulder. I get him cleaned up and ask my wife to shout the bloody items while I get him cleaned up. I'm tucking him in, and I ask why he didn't let mommy help. He said, "Mommy didn't check on me. Somebody never checked on me." Now my wife is pissed at me for me expecting her to help. I'm pissed at her for not taking care of our son while I'm in the shower, and she's watching her iPad. And I'm pissed that she's pissed I expected her to help. So, who's the bad person? I don't know what to rule for. What do you guys think? Type your verdict in the comments section as we move on to our next case. Case 4. Am I the bad person for refusing to change my baby's name after I named her after my dad's affair partner? I, 26F, just gave birth to my daughter Annabelle. I didn't announce it beforehand because in the past one of my family members stole a baby name and it created a lot of drama. My mom wanted to know, but I was adamant on keeping it a secret. My mom and dad was in the room when I gave birth, And when it was time for me to sign the birth certificate, my mom asked for the name, and I told her Annabelle. Her face went pale, and my dad didn't look too happy, but he said he loved the name. My mom left a few minutes later claiming she didn't feel well. She said she'll come over in a few days to help with the baby. Now I'm at home with the baby, and my mom hasn't talked to me that much. We used to talk every day, so I was confused by this sudden behavior. My sister Emily lives with mom still, so I called her over to talk. When she got to my house, she explained how she overheard Dad and Mom arguing because about 10 years ago, Dad had an affair with a coworker named Annabelle. Mom hasn't been talking to him, and he's been trying to get her to talk. I guess Dad, realizing that Emily had come over, decided to come over himself. He asked if there is any way that I can change Annabelle's name. I asked him why, to see if he'll tell me the truth, and he did. He admitted to the affair. He begged Mom not to leave him, and she stayed. But just hearing that name had always put her in a bad headspace. I told him I can't, and that Annabelle was the name of my husband's grandmother who helped raise him. My dad begged and pleaded for me to change it, saying Mom was in the middle of packing her bags and heading to her sister's house. I told him I won't change her name, and that it means so much to me and my husband. He began to raise his voice, and immediately my sister yelled back and told him to get the hell out. She told him not to stress me out about a mess he created. He left immediately. I'm not changing my baby's name, but I feel like this is tearing the family apart. What should I do? What do you think the fair ruling should be? You hold the power of judgment. State your ruling in the comments section below. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this video. In life, we may run, but we can never hide from true justice. Stay safe, everyone.